Something I've always loved about cartoons is when they do holiday themed episodes. And one of the best holiday themed episodes that comes to my mind is from Spectacular Spider-Man. Now, this may be a hot take, but I believe Spectacular Spider-Man is the definitive Spider-Man animated series. Yeah, that's right. Better than the 90s animated series. You know I'm not being biased because I'm 30 years old, so technically I grew up with the 90s animated series. All of you guys are just blinded by nostalgia. I cannot wait to see the comments on this one. The episode starts off in typical fashion with one of Peter's iconic internal monologues, but this time he's attempting to rhyme.
Even Green Goblin.
Now what I love about this episode is its accuracy. Look at Peter all comfortable in this web. I think that Halloween must be the most chill day to be Spider-Man. Think about it. He can just walk around and people aren't like, holy it's Spider-Man. Instead, they are just like,
cool Spidey outfit.
Well, Peter gets a lot more love than that, but we'll come back to that later on in this video. It turns out that Green Goblin wants to get rid of Tombstone. His plan is to get hard evidence of Tombstone's crimes through his henchmen. My only problem with this scene is, how is this woman still able to get up and fight after that? Ridiculous. We cut to high school and Harry is juicing. No joke. He starts using gear just a few episodes ago so he could get onto the football team. Guys, don't do this. You see, Harry is a cautionary tale. He starts taking juice to become a high value man. You know, the modern day equivalent of Gold D. Roger, obtaining money, status, and women around the world. Well, maybe not money, but you get my point. The problem is, drugs have side effects, sometimes very severe side effects. Harry gets so angry, he shoves Gwen to a locker like he was a pimp named Slickback. Drug abuse and domestic violence? They really don't make kids shows the way they used to. This level of toxicity is up there with that one guy from Batman the Animated Series when he told his wife to get back in the kitchen. He even barges Peter on the way out on some pagan shit. He is in his villain arc for real. Stay away from guys on demonic timing like this. It's not gonna end well. Meanwhile, in some skyrise downtown, Tombstone is trying to call one of his mooks. You see, Tombstone is the top boy in this series, but a more sophisticated top boy. His operations are run from prime real estate, and people outside think of him as an actual businessman, not just some hood rat on the streets. Goblin threatens him with his chapter black flash drive filled with all of the degenerate criminal acts that Tombstone has committed. However, he tells him that he can retrieve the drive later on that night. The reason being that Goblin wants help from Spider-Man to take down Tombstone. Correct me if I'm wrong here, when Goblin says, anyone else getting deja vu? Is he referencing the 2002 Spider-Man movie? This whole sequence seems strangely familiar. Goblin mercilessly smashes Peter into a fan and leaves him for broke. That's definitely gonna hurt in the morning. Moments later, Peter spots Green Goblin flying into Oscorp. He sneaks in, and honestly, I'm surprised with the lack of security here. You'd think a multi-millionaire would have some sort of alarm system installed into his crib. Norman walks out of the sliding doors that look like they could have come straight out of an Indiana Jones movie, and Peter's common sense starts tingling. I haven't seen these evil villain doors before, and there are these masks all over his crib. There's no way. Is Harry's dad Green Goblin? All of this is just too much for Peter, so he decides to take off. He couldn't have chosen a worse possible time to leave. Harry sits down and starts chugging another serving of his Tren shake. And just look at his expression. His eyes are full of pure hatred. We cut back to a real high value man, Harry's dad, and he is on his Sigma male grind set. He walks into his office to do some overtime and starts giving out a hustle culture speech.
You want to rule the world? You don't punch time clocks.
Once he gets to his computer, he starts copying over a bunch of files. So surely Peter is right about him being the Green Goblin. That is until the real Green Goblin comes in and starts attacking people. Surely this isn't that one Spider-Man clone meme? So this must mean that Harry's dad isn't the Green Goblin. The worst part of this scene is the moody security guard. Instead of saying his shitty dialogue, why didn't he just shoot Green Goblin on sight? Nobody would have blamed him. I mean, if you saw a Namekian on acid flying around on a high-speed hoverboard, I don't think too many people will be angry at you for being too trigger happy. He makes light work of this waste of space by pinning him up to a wall with his batarang thingy-majigs. I don't know what to call these, to be honest. Goblin just laughs and flies away, and I would laugh too if I caught someone fumbling the bag as much as this moody security guard did. The scene changes to the Halloween party, and honestly, what is wrong with Gwen? Everybody has put in some kind of effort into their costumes, and then there's Gwen. Even the football team is embracing their soft guy era. But here we have Gwen putting in no effort at all. No wonder you weren't Peter's first choice. This brings me to another reason why I love this episode. Mary Jane and Liz start glazing over Peter, and of course, Gwen is jealous. Mary Jane is over here like, "You fill out that costume so nicely, Tiger." And Liz takes this a step further by saying, "You can web me up anytime." The innuendos in this scene is just a mad thing. Men, if you receive choosing signals like these ones and you don't make a move, I don't know what's wrong with you. The reason why I love this little scene is because Spectacular Spider-Man handles the whole every girl wants the main character's D trope, which is a real thing, by the way, better than a lot of harem animes and wish fulfillment animes. Because at least Peter has some redeeming qualities. He takes responsibility and he's fucking Spider-Man. Plus, his banter is just S tier.
Don't worry, Flash. You fill out your costume nicely too.
Clip a time when 90s Spider-Man had banter as good as that. Come on, fight me on this one. Spectacular Peter is unparalleled. Peter gets the most covert signal from Green Goblin that it's finally time to meet up. They arrive inside a factory and Tombstone's Mook is dangling above a fiery pit. The Mook explains that this was just a trap and Green Goblin just starts wrecking the place. He wanted to take both of these guys down at the same time. That's some gangster shit right there. Tombstone saves his Mook and they dash out of the place with what I can only describe as Scooby-Doo running. This leaves Peter one-on-one with Green Goblin. Goblin doesn't play nice though. He drops bombs all over the place. However, as Peter is escaping, Green Goblin thrusts him into an object for the second time in this episode. Peter recovers and declares that he knows Green Goblin is Norman, but Goblin laughs it off. He starts blasting out this sus green liquid, which he calls gobwebs, which makes it sound even more sus. To make matters worse, he actually manages to catch Peter with one of these gobwebs. His gobwebs, oh man, I hate saying that word, gobwebs. His gobwebs are like some hardening agent which wraps around Peter, trapping him, which just makes these next scenes absolutely brutal. Goblin drags Peter around at high speed. The friction burn this man must be feeling at this point has to be off the charts. I would be in tears right about now if that was me. He finishes off this brutal combo with dropping Spider-Man to his death. However, with quick thinking, Spider-Man creates what I can only describe as a web ball that cushions his fall not once, not twice, not 3 times, not even 4, but 5 times he gets a bouncy landing. Peter has just displayed durability capabilities up there with Zorro, with all of the abuse he has dealt with in this episode. He comes out of this shoddy spin dash and just stops. If he isn't running low on HP at this point, I don't know what this man's body is made of. That spider must have been laced with adamantium, vibranium, or some kind of foul juju to keep this man going at this point. He gets a lucky break though. Green Goblin throws a bomb which Peter deflects using his web, which results in Goblin falling with only 1 bounce, and then suddenly he walks away, quitting the fight like he was Ben Whittaker. When I look back on this fight, it's up there with Naruto's Chunin exam feats in terms of the amount of arse-pullery that is going on around here. What I mean by this is the main character gets abused for minutes on end, and then his opponent receives 1 good attack and suddenly becomes a one-hitter quitter. This shit is just tragic. Spider-Man is pissed. He jumps in defiance, shouting, "There's no quitters in my franchise!" Okay, he didn't say that, but I thought it would be funny if he did say that. Spider-Man is out of webbing, which Liz would probably be disappointed in. However, in this case, Brody knows Goblin's postcode, so he pulls up to his crib. He finds Green Goblin sitting on the couch. Peter has to be right with his theory. I remember watching this for the first time and being on the edge of my seat. Green Goblin pulls off his mask and it's Harry. What the fuck? The first time I watched this, I was completely baffed. Norman walks in and explains that Harry has been juicing. He gets so mad that he starts manhandling Harry, but Harry isn't having any of it. He shows no respect for his dad, like he was Barky. He squeezes his hand and throws him to the wall. Then he gives this speech about how he just wanted to be a high value man too. And this is just tragic. Harry became a drug addict just to get the approval of his father. This is just messed up. This is like a lot of those influencers that take PEDs to get the approval of their followers. At the risk of sounding like Mr. Garrison, I need to say this. Don't take drugs, boys, because they'll have you so mad that you'll start neck striking random mandem in the gym. Then you'll go to jail. And you know what isn't in jail? Whatever Peter is getting after choosing signals like this. The moral of this story is kill the master. Figuratively, guys, I really don't want you to go to jail. You may have the best intentions in the world and your parents may not approve of the direction you're going in initially, but if they truly love you, they will come round eventually. Don't take shortcuts to get the approval of someone or you will end up shortcutting your own progress. A lot of people have this rhetoric that episodic storytelling is simple, but scripting this video was a nightmare at first because I had no idea what to focus on. There are so many subplots and little character interactions going on in this episode, like Joe Jonah Jameson's son being an astronaut that is stuck in space, which threw me off, by the way, because isn't the saying the apple doesn't fall far from the tree? That apple landed nowhere near the tree in this case because John is charismatic and Jonah is just an arse. A funny asshole, but an asshole nonetheless. If somehow you've gotten up to this point in the video and you haven't seen Spectacular Spider-Man, please, I urge you to give this show a try. It's a tightly written show that manages to cover so much in the space of two 13-episode seasons. There's actually another holiday-based episode which is set during Christmas, and who knows, depending on how this video does, I might cover that in December. Anyways, thank you very much for watching this video.